Today I wanted to do a video about the breastfeeding program that I have signed up to. I was really excited to talk about this because breastfeeding is such a personal choice when it comes to mums, and after becoming pregnant, I knew that I wanted to breastfeed, and just speaking to nearly every person that I know, like in my family and my friend groups that have had babies, they've nearly all had issues with breastfeeding. Like, it wasn't just smooth sailing. And after hearing all their stories, I just got to thinking, like, surely there is another way that can be taught that women aren't learning about or don't know about, because it's the most natural thing I can think of, and our breasts were literally made for breastfeeding. Like, that's what they're there for. And bringing God into it as well, like, he made the female body to birth a child, and the breasts are part of that. And so I just became fascinated with researching everything in pregnancy, but breastfeeding was a topic that took me a long time, because I really wanted to get to the bottom of what was everyone so afraid of, and why do so many women stop their breastfeeding journey early on, and is it just something that we have to put up with? Are there ways around it? Is there something that we're not learning, or something that's not being taught? And through I do a lot of research on the internet, but Instagram is actually a tool that I use to follow a lot of midwifery pages, labor pages, just everything to do with topics that I like. There are so many Instagram pages that are just filled with information, and so I found, like, I've got specific folders on my Instagram just for the whole pregnancy and after. And so when I started collecting my breastfeeding pieces and putting them into the folder, there were just a lot of conflicting views on it. And it wasn't until I came across this particular lady, her name is Dr. Robin Thompson, and she's Australian too, and I loved that because a lot of the pages I follow always end up being American. And after watching just one video, it just felt right. It just felt like everything she was saying made so much sense. And I followed her page on Instagram, and then I ended up clicking into the link on the bio, clicking into the website, and after reading about the program that she offers, I just knew that I had to get it. And it's definitely worth the investment if you want to pay for a program. I think there's 30% off it now at the moment. It was 50% off when I got it. So it's still, I think it's between like $100 and $200, depending on what level you get of it, because I got the VIP version, which comes with like extra videos and Facebook Lives and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it's something that I was happy to spend my money on. So I was trying so hard to figure out how I wanted to put this video together, because it's so detailed that I was going to try and go through each module and kind of do a brief overview and try and present that to you. But I feel like Dr. Thompson actually deserves all the credit, and she's the expert in this, and I don't want to take words out of her mouth or say the wrong thing and give the wrong advice, because I am still pregnant. I haven't actually had to breastfeed yet, and I don't want to give the wrong advice. So rather than doing that, I would honestly recommend going onto the website just to at least read if it's the right fit for you. And I honestly recommend investing in the program, because once you've got it forever. You can look at the files forever. You get joined up to her personal Facebook group where all the other members talk on there and ask their questions. You get to see all her Facebook lives. It's just so great. So I did print out her introduction that she personally wrote, and then I just went through everything that's in the course, like the heading of them. So I'm not going to really go through them because I just feel like I don't want to take that away from her, and she should be the one to explain it, because it's so detailed and I don't want to get it wrong, because she has done such an amazing job with this. So she's a midwife, and she's been a midwife for over 40 years now, working both in the hospital and at home births. So it's a long time. Like, she's spent her whole career focused on women and the birth and helping them to breastfeed to their full potential. I'm just going to read this little part that she wrote, because it'll just give you a rough idea of like how far she goes into the study. So she said, so over her 40 years, during her research, she was really excited about the things that she was seeing, and she'd never really spent the time to fine-tune it right down to what she was seeing, because all of the women she was seeing were presenting with painful complications, and that really stimulated her to try and find out why that was happening. So this is exactly what she wrote, so I'm just going to read off this. Putting all that together and looking at the baby while it was feeding, and researching the craniocervical anatomy, and also researching the intraoral anatomy, and putting that together again with observing, experimenting with my thumb in my mouth, because it's relative to the size of my mouth, to see what babies were doing when they had the nipple in the roof of their mouth, to see what they were doing when they actually drew it right back and the pad of the thumb rested in the soft palate. She started swallowing on her thumb, and it gave her a lot more information. So if I can just demonstrate that, she was watching the baby put the nipple in her mouth, and you'll notice when you do that, you've got a hard palate, which is just behind your teeth, and then further up you've got the soft palate, and it kind of tickles when you touch it. So when the baby is swallowing and stimulating the nipple, a lot of the trauma comes from when the baby is sticking the nipple right behind the teeth up there instead of back at an angle towards the back, and that's where all this nipple trauma comes from. So she started really researching the face as a whole, the baby's face, the importance of the oral cavity, like how far the nipple and breast tissue should be going back into their mouth, and she just went above and beyond with that. So now I'm just going to go through all the headings of what she covers in her course. So she starts from, so basically if anyone's asking you what it is, if you decide to research this further, it's a gentle approach to breastfeeding, which is led by the baby. Dr. Thompson goes through certain topics and common problems most women face when breastfeeding, such as nipple damage, engorgement, and mastitis. And these were the things that I noticed nearly every girl I spoke to that had breastfeeded had this issue. And it led them to either stopping early or giving up or resorting to other measures like formula and things like that. The overview of all of it includes creating your birth and breastfeeding plan, the induction of labour, cascade of intervention, birthing the placenta, vaginal exams, mother and baby separation, what to do if you have a C-section, how your breast milk is first established in the first 72 hours, the first breastfeed, nipple trauma, maintaining milk volume, the cross-cradle technique, cradling your baby, face to breast symmetry, fine-tuning, nipple direction, intraoral cavity, how breastfeeding is sustained, feeding from both breasts each feed, spacing out feeds, your baby's cues, rest and digest, stimulating and the swallow reflex, nappy change, emotional satisfaction, transition to sleep, breast engorgement, mastitis, low and high milk volume, crying unsettled baby, reflux and colic, implications of frequent feeding, expressing, feeding apparatuses, tongue and lip ties, growth and development, inverted or flat nipples, large breasts and small breasts, feeding twins, weaning, transitioning to food, common behavioural changes, and returning to work. And it literally sounds like that takes 2 seconds. This has taken me a few months to get through each of these, and I want to try and get through it twice before the baby is born. And I just feel like this is something that leaves you feeling empowered, very in tune with your body and what the functions of your body are doing, what the baby is capable of, and how underestimated the babies are made out to be. They're made out to be super incapable when they literally learn how to swallow and suck when they're still inside you, and they're born for it. And she talks about, you know, how in the hospital system a lot of the time it's kind of forced, and unless you sort of speak your opinion on wanting to be left alone, they can often kind of grab the back of the baby's head and sort of force your breast into their mouth, and just not being very patient with the natural process of it. She talks about how much power you still have in the hospital if you know your rights, if you have informed consent. She talks about the risks, the benefits and alternatives to induction and opioid drugs, epidurals, and how that can all affect the first breastfeed, with the baby being extra sleepy because of the drugs that you get given. She talks about just the natural bond that can happen in the first few hours after birth that can be sometimes taken away when the woman has unnecessary interventions, or if the baby's taken away from her. But yeah, I could go on for literally like hours about this program. So I did want to do a really detailed video, but I don't want to take away from the work that she's already done, because it speaks for itself. And literally, if you just read the overview yourself on her website, it's just, she covers everything. And there's so many things that I had no idea about that I just thought were normal until I joined this program. And if I can get any other person onto this, it's worth it, because she's helped so many women, even women that didn't know about this till after they've had the baby, and they've started bottle feeding or used nipple shields, or they've had C-sections, they've had the birth that they didn't want, and the baby, you know, was confused and didn't get to go to their breast straight away. She like goes to their house and does visits with them, and she's helped like hundreds, if not thousands, of women get back on track with breastfeeding. And she even goes as far as to help women that still potentially don't want to breastfeed and have had to resort to other things like formula. She talks about the types of formula that are best for the baby's digestive system. She talks about what to do if you do have to use a nipple shield. She talks about, if you are bottle feeding, the types of teats that are preferable, that will be best for their oral cavity and for the swallowing. She talks about expressing and using pumps, and what to do when your breasts are engorged, and how to incorporate using the breast pump to express the milk as a sort of aid to get back to breastfeeding. She talks about just everything. It's just amazing. I'm so passionate about this. I can't wait till I start breastfeeding, because I feel like that's when I'll get to put it all into practice. And obviously I envision a smooth transition for it to all happen naturally, but I have no idea like what my baby's going to be like. It could be super difficult, but at least I have all of this backup now and information and all the resources behind me to really help me move forward with it. And it's something I really am happy to talk about and promote to the whole world, for any woman that is questioning like if something's wrong with her, or is something wrong with her baby, or why is it so difficult. And yeah, I could go on way longer about more of it, but I really think that everyone here should check it out for themselves. So I'm just going to leave it at that, and I think I'll give a little update while I'm here. I'm 27 weeks now, so I'm in my 3rd trimester now. Everything is still really good. I went and had my glucose test, which I thought was going to be the test that they give you that drink and you have to wait for hours, but apparently my doctor only requested the simple blood test. So unless something went wrong or they didn't specify clearly enough, that's all I had to do, and that was really easy. I have my next visit at the hospital on Monday. I've had no other weird symptoms. I did have a minor little like scare where I actually had to go to the hospital last week, and it was just to do with the leg cramps that I was talking about. And I explained how I had that really sharp pain run down my right calf, and then I had the pain in my calf for the whole next 2 days, and I started freaking out thinking it was a blood clot, and just wanted to go to the doctors just to double check, because blood clots are a lot more common in pregnant women. Anyway, the doctor was a little concerned and sent me to the hospital, and I had to get a blood thinner needle and an ultrasound, which was kind of scary, just waiting. But yeah, everything was fine. I did actually get that same pain this morning, so I didn't panic. I think I just really need to keep a balance of not sitting and laying for too long and not standing for too long, and keeping active and going for walks. And I keep hearing that magnesium is really good for that, so I'm going to get some magnesium when I can. And yeah, my next video might be more about my hospital bag, or maybe the nursery, but the nursery probably will be a lot later because I don't know what house I'm going to be living in, so nothing's really set up yet. So it'll probably be my hospital bag, and what I'm putting in all of the bags will be my next video. So till then, see you later.